Good to have you, Matt. Thanks for doing it. So you've won 7 of your last 8, and going for a sweep against the Diamondbacks tonight after kind of a tough start to the year. From the outside, Matt, it feels like things are starting to click. Is that how it feels to you right now?
Yeah, I mean, we're starting to swing the bat a little bit better, playing some better defense. Pitching staff's obviously doing a really good job of keeping us in ball games. A week ago or so, put together a really good game. We won a close game, and that's what we weren't doing when we were in that rough stretch. We had some close games, some extra inning games that we weren't winning, and we had a big game. I can't remember who it was against. It might have been, it was against Seattle. It was the first game against Seattle, and we won a close game in late innings. And ever since then, we've kind of been stringing hits together, and it's been a good week of baseball for us.
Matt Beaty joining us. Matt, just for those who do not follow it as closely, what you were talking about was the team did start the year 13-2, and then you go through a tough stretch where you went 5-15. But to the point that you just made, it's not like you were getting rocked. I mean, there were a lot of 1- and 2-run losses, and there were a lot of injuries. Like, nobody wants to hear about injuries. I get that injuries are a part of the game, but when you keep losing guys, is there any party that's like, come on, man, are you kidding me? Can we get a break here?
Yeah, it stinks. You don't want to ever see anybody get hurt, especially on your own team and around the league. You want to play against the best, and you want to put the best product out there on the field. And that's just part of the game. It's just testing our depth right now, and with Seeks going down, Paula going down, Belly, McKinstry, Kniebel, D-May, you keep Rios, you keep going on down the list. Those are some big name guys that we were counting on this year, but with them going down, it's just kind of the next guy up, and we're definitely talented enough to keep winning ball games. We got some really good talent.
Matt Beaty's joining us. You do. Talent and depth, but it's a weird game, right? It's always going to be a weird game. As an example, earlier this month, you had a game against Milwaukee where you went 4 for 6. You knocked in 7 runs. You had your first career grand slam. I'm curious, you have a routine, you have a regimen, you want to stay as consistent as possible. Do you ever have any idea, when you show up to the ballpark, that something special like that might happen? Did that day feel any different to you than any other day?
There's potential for something special to happen with the lineup that we have, the group of guys that we have. That game in Milwaukee was special. Me and AJ both had a lot of RBIs that day. CT scored 5 runs. I think if he would have got one more run, it would have been a Dodger record, I think, 6 runs in one game. It's just fun to be a part of. Any night, anybody can go off. Definitely a lot of talent on our ball club.
It's a full-time job, right? The off-season is a full-time thing as well, and the game is changing so much, and you're learning so much about how to prepare your mind and your body. I'm kind of curious, Matt, in the off-season, I know you worked on adding some more explosive movements. As an example, what kind of work did you do, and then how has that shown up for you on the field this year?
There's this new training technique. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's with a water bag. Just kind of quick, explosive side-to-side, front-to-back movements with a water bag in your hands, and just trains different muscles that you're not used to. It really hits on your core, and then also just explosive movement with your feet, moving with a water bag in your hands. So me and Eric Yavarone and Brian Stoneberg worked on that a lot this offseason in Arizona. I also played a lot of golf. I think golf really helps my baseball swing. Sometimes when I get bad in baseball, front shoulder pulls out, and if I do that in golf, I slice the ball a lot. So I think golf really helped me out a lot.
I think that's fascinating. John Smoltz has always said golf saved his career. And I think maybe in a different way, he just needed something to kind of take his mind off that grind and the pressure, and he liked to get out with the guys. You're telling me it helps your swing. Is it good for your mental game, your mechanical game? What do you like so much about golf?
Definitely mechanical. It helps me out a lot. And like you said, mentally, it's a good escape. I think, we're so surrounded by baseball throughout the season, 162 games a year. That's a lot throughout the year to come to the field every day and just be focused on baseball. I think golf is a good escape for me, at least, to get out there and try to work on something, work on a different craft other than baseball, work on something else, because baseball players, we're pretty much perfectionists. work so much in the off season, we work so much during the season of trying to perfect your craft. So I think if you can find something else to get your mind away from the game at some point. So for me, this off season, it was golf, to go out there and work on something other than baseball, work on going out there, just escaping, being outdoors and being out on the golf course. It was a lot of fun.
Matt Beaty joining us, but not in season. Is that only an off season thing? Will you break those bats out during the season?
I golf a little bit during the season. It's a little bit harder as a position player.
Sure.
Pitchers have a little bit more free time to be able to go out there, and especially starters, if they only pitch once every 5 days. Position players, you kind of got to conserve your energy, and because you could be even if you're not in the lineup that night, you're going to have a pretty good chance of coming in at some point during the game, whether it just be a pinch hit or a double switch. But I do golf a little bit during the season. It's obviously not as much during the off season.
I got you. You talk about his MLB, or you're constantly trying to work that craft, perfect that craft. If you want to look at a craftsman, Albert Pujols certainly comes to mind. He joined the team earlier this week. I'm curious, what was your reaction to the news, and what do you like about what he brings to the team and the clubhouse?
I mean, I was excited. He debuted in 2001. How old was I? I was 10 years old, not even 10 years old at that point, 8 years old when he debuted. So he was already making a big name for himself when I was still in middle school. And then seeing him in the clubhouse, he was talking to me last night about mechanical things and like mindset up at the plate. He's going to be a real impact, not only in the lineup and a really good bat to have, right-handed bat to have, but just a good guy to just talk baseball with in the dugout and in the cage. And I think for the younger guys, it's just, and anybody on the team, it's going to be important just to be a sponge and listen to that guy talk. Just the amount of baseball knowledge that he has. He's been in this game for a really long time, and he's a really good guy to talk to.
Dodger Matt Beaty joining me for a few more moments. Hey, Matt, you had a moment over the weekend against the Marlins where you got ejected after a strikeout. And I think it might be easier for people to assume that you were ejected for arguing strikes. I'm not a great lip reader, but it seemed to me all you said was like, so bad. Like, what was your reaction to the called strike and then them running you? What happened?
I just felt really good at the plate, and I thought I was seeing the ball really well, and I had a control of the strike zone. I got a couple bad calls the night before, and then the at-bat before I got it tossed, I had a couple balls that were called strikes. I feel like I saw 5 balls and ended up flying out. Should have been at first base with a walk. And then it was a big moment. Faced a lefty, and there was a ball that was clearly outside of the strike zone, and his bases were loaded, and umpire called it a strike, and emotions got the best of me, and I just turned around and told him he was so bad, and no curse, something like that.
Yo, Matt, I'm hanging on, man. I don't want to lose the end of this interview. I'm loving this conversation. There you go. So,
Yeah.
like, no curse words, right? Just so bad.
I said, Chad, you're so bad. Again, personal, by saying you're so bad. I should have said that's so bad. That's why I got tossed. It just stinks that emotions got the best of me, and that's about as big of a blowout as you'll see out of me, I guess.
I got you. All right, so like because it got personal, right? If you insert your, then it makes it personal. Where do you come out on the whole human element part of the game? Like, do we always have to have that, or is there a better way to do it? Like, if we can break out the robots, are you in favor of that? Where do you come out on that?
I mean, it's tough. There's some pitchers that just barely. If you're going to go robot umpire zones, I don't know exactly what's going to be a strike. Is if a stitch hits the part of the plate, is that a strike? I don't know. There's been some bad calls this year in the zone, outside the zone. It's tough. I get the human element to it. I don't know exactly where I stand. Obviously, when you get bad calls, you want the robot ump. But then that's just part of the game also, knowing the strike zone and knowing how the umpire is calling the game.
Yeah, robots, they kind of scare me a little bit. Like, I mean, can you talk junk to a robot, or will the robot understand that and they're going to run you too? I don't know. Last thing, really quickly, Matt, like, I love college baseball because I went to a college, UC Santa Barbara, which has a really good college baseball program. I love Gaucho baseball. They're making some noise and they're getting national run, and I'm really proud of them. You led Belmont to the second regional. And I'm talking to a guy who's got a World Series ring, all right? But you led Belmont to the second regional in school history. How special was that, and what's that mean to you in terms of your baseball life?
That was so much fun. That was my freshman year. We had a really good team, a really good freshman class that came in, and it was just a really good team. Pitching staff we had, the lineup we had. So much fun to go down to Florida. I think it was in Stetson University, where Jacob deGrom went. We didn't face him, obviously. He was out of school by then and drafted, but it was fun to go down there. I think we got extra inning game. Our first game that we played went 15 innings, and we won that game. And I think that was the deciding factor. If we would have lost that game, we would have went to the losers bracket and would have had to claw and fight our way back. But we ended up winning the game, and going to a regional at LSU. That was really fun to play at Alex Buck Stadium as a freshman, fresh out of high school. That was a really cool experience for sure.
You tell me I'm wrong. Like, and I know you've already arrived at where you are and you're done with me, but tell me I'm wrong. I just got to know. I bet you're still boys, even though you made it. You're a big leaguer. You got your ring. I bet you're still tight with those guys you played college ball with, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's still a couple guys that are playing minor league ball there in AAA right now. One of the guys plays for the Diamondbacks. He's in AAA for them, and he actually lived with me in Arizona during spring training, and we stay in touch a lot. So we're all excited. I think they could get the call in the next year or so, and that would be really cool to have a couple Bruins in the big leagues.